Of course, it's not an ideal world. There are also risks in all that, but it's up to us also how we decide to lead and drive with the technology we have at hand and with the progress we have made until now and make it work for good.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Iconic Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Chaitra Vedalapalli, President of Women in Cloud. This podcast is for founders, executives, investors, and change makers who are done playing small and ready to lead movements that actually matter. Each week, we don't just talk about big ideas. We unpack lived experiences, pivotal moments, and real systems behind leadership that democratize access and creates lasting impact. Because here's what I believe: prosperity should be the default, not the exception. Together, we are here to democratize intelligence, elevate how you lead, and shape the next 50 years of inclusive innovation. So let's begin. Today, I am joined by Yanna Andronopoulou, General Manager of Microsoft Greece, Cyprus, and Malta, and one of the top 50 Opulus honorees. And if you care about accelerating your executive careers in AI economy, this conversation is for you. Yanna leads the Microsoft strategy across Greece, Cyprus, and Malta, harnessing AI and region's first hyperscale data centers for economic and societal impact. She's also recognized among the Fortune's most powerful women. Now, as a sponsor of Women's ERG Group, she launched the Women's AI Hackathon across 9 countries. It was 9 countries, attracting over 900 applicants and equipping 100 women with AI skills to shape the digital future in their communities. Her leadership extended beyond events. She drove the Greece's largest AI skills program, the AI School 360, ensuring 50% of female participation, and partnered with local organizations. Now, her philosophy resonates with us. Together, we can ignite change and shape the future of women, not only thrive but lead in technology. Because of her philosophy, she has also earned Microsoft Greece the Inclusivity Award in recognition as the international advocate for equity in tech. Now, this is what pulled me into this conversation and how she carries the weight of scale, influence, and legacy as she grew. So, Yanna, excited to have you today.
Thank you very much for the invite, Chaitra.
Yanna, before we get into a lot of the serious stuff, what is one thing people are always surprised to learn about you?
That I like a lot adventure and windsurf. So I like a lot this adrenaline. I'm a sea person. I'm living in Greece. That's normal. And the strategy to focus always on where you want to go, independently of how the air is, and to be agile and change if your environment demands it. A lot of people wouldn't expect this, as I have a family, 2 kids, etc. It's a kind of adventurous sport, but I like it very much.
Yanna, growing up in the tech, I used to listen to Jim Rohn, and he used to always say, the biggest success in life is set the sail. And once you set the sail, you get to the destination easily. And most of the people don't know how to set the sail. So since you do windsurfing, you know how to set the sail. That's fantastic. Yanna, your work has impacted thousands of women. But I want to start with you. Where did this all start? Like the passion for technology, and what inspired you to democratize access for women on scale?
For me, it all started when I was quite younger. Actually, I was growing up in a family full of lawyers. So they sent me to a proper school in order for me to become a lawyer. But my interest, I was always curious. I was always admiring technology and how you can leverage it to change people's lives. So actually, since the very beginning, even if I was at that school, I saw that this is what I want to do in my life. I started, then I went to the university and I followed the STEM career. And I think it's one, and especially now with artificial intelligence, it's one of the key pillars that will change, are already changing people's lives, how we work, how we live. And we have a unique opportunity to really leverage it for a better environment for all.
Is there a time you actually, when you were gravitated towards the tech, was there a gap you felt personally and you said, I want to really learn more? Was there a curiosity factor around it?
First of all, there was a gap that I faced being a female because when I was quite younger, it was more of a male dominated environment. It still is, but I think for younger girls, things are much better because now there are more female role models and more paths to have a career in tech. When I started, and in my country, it was quite challenging. And that's also what made me think, Chaitra, of after I managed to reach at a certain point in my tech career, that I really need to change that. It shouldn't be an individual success. It has to be a more systemic approach to enable more other people that really want to be in tech, mainly females that didn't find easily the path, but also other people that maybe wouldn't have also the access easily to get the knowledge and advance in this field.
Absolutely. And was that the first product you used? You said, wow, this technology is good. I
Now
used
you will laugh.
Pascal and COBOL as my first software.
Okay, now you will laugh. I was in the university, and believe it or not, my at the time, many years ago, my final project was on and the first language I used at that time it was Prolog. I don't know if you have ever heard of it,
No,
but it
I'm not.
was very basic. But it was really a big effort at the time to make something that looks intelligent, and that's why for me. And I believe for other people like me, like 4 years ago, when 3.5, 4, when Gen AI became available, it really touched my heart because it was always my dream on how we will be able to communicate with intelligence in natural language. I think this completely unlocks the possibilities for everyone and it will make a much different impact in the future based, of course, on the choices we will do as humanity.
Absolutely. And when you were working in Prolog, were you in a black screen or it was graphic user interface? How was it?
No, it was horrible. It was black screen with green letters. I don't even remember, but nothing sexy. Not the nice environments that we have right now with graphic user interface, with natural language, with the ability with one statement to Copilot to create dashboards, co-work. It's totally different.
Oh, wow. Same thing. I learned COBOL and Pascal, and I was like, I don't know if I like this technology because it's not colorful. But now I love technology because it has fashion attached to it. It looks very colorful and beautiful. But how do you use AI today? Is there any decisions you make with AI?
For me, it helps me a lot on my everyday life. On the decisions, yes, because I'm using a lot. And this is plugged into my work data. Okay, so I can actually leverage this in order to make a full study on something that I want to get more insights and take an informed decision. So for me, this is very helpful because it saves me a lot of time and also sometimes time from my colleagues because nobody knows everything. So I would have gone to ask them all these questions and get the information in order for me to take the decision. Whereas now, because we collectively use our data, then I can easily retrieve that, make the decision, and just have a much shorter discussion with my colleagues because I'm already informed on the basic stuff that I would have asked them.
Yana, when I met you in Greece and you were on the stage talking about the diffusion of AI in Greece, it was very inspiring because I was like, wow, you're actually bringing the technology and really making it accessible. But you were also operating at a GM level, and you drive business outcomes and community impact. What shapes your leadership approach to see inclusion not just as value, but as a business priority?
For me, it's very important being in technology to listen to the thoughts of everyone. Because if we don't do that, we lose in innovation or in new approaches that we will become more effective. So, in order to do, you need to have a safe environment, a trusted environment, and what I call an inclusive environment that where everybody feels quite safe to say what they think. And my view is I have one of the higher performing teams in Microsoft Europe South. Okay, I don't have data beyond that. And I truly believe one of the reasons why we are so successful is this inclusivity that comes also on our employee surveys as one of our top strengths, because everybody feels able to state their opinion and learn from others. So there is no this fear of maybe I pop up and I say a mistake. And also what we do is we have also some metrics in our subsidiary that we see that we have pipeline, because there are always positions where you cannot find talent from all different backgrounds, genders, different ability of thinking, personalities. So we try to have always pipeline. So when you have an opening, you have diverse profiles to assess and hire. So it's both a values-driven approach, but also a metrics-driven approach.
Yeah. And Yana, you said something which caught my attention, which was you care about safety for people to share their voice. Where does that come from? Like, why is safety so important for you?
It's very important because if you are in an environment where you don't feel safe to talk, why? Because you feel you might be accused, you might be misperceived, then you will not express yourself easily. And what I have seen in those cases is that you lose synergies with others. So it's very important to have this trusted environment that everyone feels that they can express what they think without being accused or criticized. In our tech environment where things move very fast and we have very skilled persons, okay, a lot of times if you don't set up this environment, people wouldn't like to lose face, let's say, by stating something that could be quite exploratory, but they don't feel that it has been tested before. So for us, it's very important. And I'm repeating, I believe one of the major elements of us being successful and having this high growth is this the ability to be inclusive, have the safe environment, and to learn, keep learning, because this enables also learning. You are not afraid to learn from others on top of what you do by reading courses, books, etc.
Yeah. And Yana, you said is like having the courage and being bold and representing everyone. It takes a lot of leadership. And if I look at the world, you're one of those leaders who are sponsoring ERG with full confidence. It's really iconic. And you just don't support the community. You really actually are activating it in the European market. How did you position the women's ERG as a strategic lever for talent, innovation, and business growth? Give some ideas because most of the people are struggling. Is should we support or we shouldn't support the women's ERG group?
For us, one thing that we started was to agree with a group the scope and the vision. The vision was to enable everyone to thrive, and it was not only it was women in RG, but also we had male allies. We agreed on on what is our principle. We started to say how we and what we create. We wanted to create a community that would help people develop, people exchange views, people support each other as well, and also going externally to influence our own ecosystem. Because one thing is what you do within Microsoft, and I believe here we are quite privileged because we have values that resonate. Respect is one of our values. So that everybody feels included. However, sometimes in our ecosystem in different countries, if we see partners, etc., we really need to help move this ecosystem towards the same values and to help this ecosystem realize by their own that there is a benefit in doing so. So actually, we started with a vision and the scope. And then we started the community to to make the connections between people, between different countries. We enable skill development, mentoring between members, and even conversation about well-being, because we live in a very fast-paced environment. And this was one of the themes that popped up by the teams. And what was quite spectacular is that after the first year, the engagement was very high. So you could see the need of the employees being engaged in this group. And then they undertook even more. They came and proposed more initiatives. They engaged and they ran it with minimum help. And this was very satisfactory for me because it shows that we managed to enable this community to scale and start running by their own. And that's how also leveraging all these people, I managed to run what you mentioned, the AI for Women Hackathon. This year we ran AI for Good Hackathon in those countries, having a big virtual team that, believe me, people are already overloaded in their work, but they feel engaged, they see the impact they are creating, and engaging them for mentoring, for the marketing effort, for creating the platform for the hackathon. And then we attracted again the people we had 900 applicants, we limit to 100 because we have this capacity, and it was great. And for me, a significant moment was that, for example, this year, it was really amazing to see one of the ladies that was participating last year stating how this hackathon helped her to advance her career, change, her way of thinking, and how she finally ended up in Microsoft in Turkey, συγκεκριμένα. So it was really amazing for everyone participating and helping to make this happen, seeing the impact that such rather simple initiatives can help in the broader environment.
I love it. And the impact is definitely there. But as a sponsor, if you double click, what are the metrics you look at and say, this is doing well? Or is there tangible metrics or intangible metrics that a sponsor looks at? How do you look at it and assess?
Okay, there are some basic metrics that we look that have to do with the minimal budget we have as ERG. So I put it, this is basic. But for me, one key metric, especially when we began, was the level of engagement. So how many people registered to the ERG? How many people were actively participating in our calls, in our initiatives? That was the first thing that that it started to move us up, to scale up the effort. Then also how many people were engaged on the different threads, on the mentoring thread. Okay, was it working? The peer mentoring, we did an application, how many people, and also the feedback. We were holding some calls to understand, was it valuable for the people that engaged? Then we created, for example, Cybersecurity Academy. How many events, how many people felt they learned something? We were running some minimum surveys. It's very easy with AI to design a survey. So practically metrics that were practically measuring, number one, the level of engagement, and number two, the benefit that people were seeing depending on the initiative. For example, did you learn something in cybersecurity and what? What did you get out as your own experience for mentoring in AI hackathon? That was the thing. And I think this helps a lot because it really also, if you do the metrics, of course, as you advance, you change the metrics, you evolve them more, but you can see the real impact for the participants as well and how they evolve to achieve more.
This is fantastic, Yana. We should do a masterclass on how to lead as an exec sponsor for ERG within your company. I don't think people think as a strategic metrics of how you think, and budget was not the one. It was how you engaged and how you drove the impact. Now, you talked about rolling out the Women's AI Hackathon in 9 countries and scaling to 1,200 applicants. That is not an easy task. I know it takes a lot of effort. From a leadership perspective, what did it take for you to execute something at that scale, even running the entire business and then doing this as a AI for Good program?
Okay, running the entire business on my countries is something that I would say it requires it's about the leadership skills. So how you set the vision, what kind of impact you want to create in those countries. In our case, what kind of impact we want to create having technology as the enabler, and we address. So this is the part with a normal, let's say, business plus the additional impact that we want to create, how we develop people internally and externally. In order, for example, to have success with the technology, you need really to also upskill the broader audiences in your countries on top of having and just run after your own targets in terms of specific customers. Now, if we go to the ERG and how we run the AI hackathon, this was, first of all, we had some steps. Number one, what we wanted to achieve with this AI hackathon. For us, it was that we really wanted to inspire. We started it for women, so AI hackathon for women to inspire female talent to really engage more in technology, because my worry is that even if with AI we start again all from zero, again that after 3 years after there is a gap between males and females, unfortunately.
Yes,
So
yes.
we really wanted to make it more to grasp the attention of the female talent and to show that there are many paths that you can use, because in this AI hackathon, what we were asking for was business ideas. So in the teams that were formulated, you had someone that was marketer, someone that was more technical, someone that was more on the finance. So you can have different roles in technology. You don't need to be the tech expert or a developer. So one thing was to what we wanted to achieve and to what audiences, then how to set up the team after we had the vision and the outcome wanted. So we attracted, I had a thread owner, a lead, a co-lead on this. We were calling this initiative as a thread of the AI hackathon. And then it was quite important providing the clarity of the communication of what we want to achieve and of the timelines and what was there for the people that would like to engage, because we needed mentors, we needed judges, we needed developers, we needed marketing people to engage with a marketing agency to set up everything and promote in the 9 countries. So having this nice communication and call where we presented everything, we attracted also the teams because we needed largest teams. The teams were like 50 persons from our side, from the 9 countries,
Wow.
engaged to make that happen. And then also we did a very big event with inspiring speakers. For example, I had Lars Rasmussen, who is one of the co-founders of the Google Maps on the opening, and senior HR from Microsoft, where she's dealing and she's very experienced with young talent. So we had also a very nice event to attract the participants, also a partner to do the marketing and promotion in the 9 countries, all for, of course, from digital media. We had the registrations. The difficult part is to also, we had the method to, because we always get much more registrations, we can only support 100 applicants. Next year we will go for more. So we had to do the selection and set it up. And it was great. And it worked well for us, the way we structure it.
Just thinking through the complexity of navigating the countries and the 50 plus people, what was your biggest operational challenge, Yana, that you had to really spend a lot of time to remove the roadblocks? Was it legal? Was it operational? Is it people? What was it for you?
For me, there were practical items. Let me give you a kind of funny example. For example, there are countries, they don't even have the same days off. For example,
Yeah.
Israel has a day off on Fridays, okay? And sometimes you cannot know all that. And if somebody doesn't think about it, you really need to mitigate the risk if you find it later. So this was one of the challenges. The other challenge is when you have to scale at this level, you really need to stay on top, not to bypass your budget, because it's easy having all these different countries, etc. Then all to make sure that the teams of all those different countries, first of all, your own teams that are in the organizing side, work very well together from all those different countries, but also to to enable the teams of the participants, because what we did is we also mixed the participants. They were not all from one country, we mixed them. So to enable those teams, to inspire them to work well together, because maybe in the multinational environments we are most used to work across countries. But imagine now if you have younger talent not coming from multinationals, it's very difficult if, I don't know, maybe from Greece to work with someone from Bulgaria, Turkey, and Portugal. It's not as easy as it sounds. But everything is feasible. I think if you have the right focus, dedication, and engagement to your vision, my experience is we can make it happen.
Yana, spot on. Is the time and the schedule of people is the real problem that you have to solve when you're doing hackathon. Because when we did our hackathons with total of 2,500 folks, it was around the cross geographical calendaring was the most hardest part. You don't even realize how complex the calendaring is. And if you can figure that out, you can do anything possible. So with that said, when you look at all the impact you have done, what is the ripple effect you're really proud of, Yanna?
For me, number one is what I mentioned to you before. The biggest impact is going out of individual small groups to scale. So how you practically, and I think this is also the purpose of leadership, is how you enable others to be able to continue and scale what you start. And practically also reach finally at a level that you are not needed on that. You can advance even more and again empower others to advance also with you. So I think I saw this with this year because this year we ran AI for good. Okay, it was open to again to 9 countries, but to more, let's say, not only women, to everyone who would like to participate. But I saw that the teams were much more able, after what we did in the initial coaching, to evolve, scale their impact, and they needed much less help than before. So this allowed to focus also on additional things to empower this or to make it even better on other aspects. I mentioned to you we created also a cybersecurity academy because cybersecurity is something that becomes more and more important. And when you have ideas, you must have not only the business idea, but an understanding of how you can make this business sustainable by properly being aware of, not, you don't need to be an expert, but you need to understand what it means and what can happen with cybersecurity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to keep all these things happening, I want to kind of learn how you think. Is there a personal leadership framework or a philosophy or a decision filter that keeps you grounded when all the stakes are high? Because as a GM, I know the stakes are high, the pressure is high, and still you give so much. So how do you do it, Yana?
China, for me, first of all, everything has to do with people. Even it's there to empower people. The framework I use is people, purpose. I mentioned to you, it's very important why you exist, what's your vision, what you want to achieve, and performance. And so when I'm stressed, what keeps me grounded is to ask to myself questions about this framework. What we are doing are we acting, for example, with integrity and respect for people? This is something that it's a great question for me at least, to make me handle in the best way and take the right decision. The second, I mentioned to you the vision, the purpose. Okay, so I'm asking also my team when we are under stress and we really need to prioritize or take a serious decision. Are we aligned to our purpose? Are we aligned to the way we believe and we plan to create impact? So this is the second thing that for me is very important and gives me clarity in unnavigated waters. And then the third one is that I mentioned performance outcomes, and I want to make a clarification there. So always what I have in my mind is, are we driving outcomes that are sustainable or not just immediate? Because a lot of people, and especially in this fast pace and with the metrics, the quarterly follow-ups, etc., you always need, and I think that's also the other thing that differentiated also the work we do with the team. I always think not only short-term, because it's easy sometimes to reach your short-term KPI, but not in the right way. And finally, it could not create the impact that you would like to. So it's not only what you do for me, it's also how you do it, how you manage to bring this result.
Yana, I have met with a lot of leaders, but many people are uncomfortable saying performance, and how you perform is also, for me, it's very important. And anytime I look at it is, are you showing up the ultimate way to perform so you can actually you realize your ultimate potential of who you are. So I think we are aligned on the performance as a value because it is important. That's when you can lead more effectively, and the outcomes are very powerful. Now, coming to doing all this one, there is always a cost of leadership. I know there is an invisible labor that goes behind the scene, especially when you think about transformation around business or community. And it comes with a lot of unseen effort. What is that behind the scene leadership work that you do that makes everything possible, Yana?
For me, always leaders, if you're asking me, we have more things to do that are exactly as you say, off light. Number one, to think always, number one, if you how to build the right team. And when I say right team, it's not only the skills. I
Mhm,
mentioned to you that for me the diversity of thought is very important. So to have those different profiles that are able in a trust environment to challenge each other, it's one key area for the leaders that it's not seen, but it's something that you need to think and always think how to create the right team and evolve this team. The
mhm,
second is set up the governance. It's not only creating, this is the foundation, create the trust also, but I mentioned also not only the what, the how you have a governance framework, how decisions are made in your leadership team, how the leadership team cooperates with the rest of the organization. So this is the other. The most important for me is also how you as a leader, you are evolving and shall get feedback and evolving yourself because you need to spend time to understand and even dig because the feedback, if you are the leader, it's much more, it doesn't come easily. You
mm,
really need to seek for it. And you need also to spend time with, at least well, that's what I do with myself to see how I can understand this feedback, how I can improve further.
mm,
And also sometimes it's a lonely position as well. You need sometimes to think a lot by yourself based on the inputs you have. Take sometimes really tough decisions. There are many things that are not visible that leaders have to do. You need always to understand get input from the others, understand the bigger picture, set the direction. It's not easy, especially in today's world, to do that.
mhm,
And also I mentioned to you the evolution of the team. For me, it's very important because in today's environment, nobody knows everything. Okay, so you need this to enable your team for decentralized decision making, not to be
mm,
yourself. It was always for leaders, but I think in today's environment, it becomes even more as a prerequisite. And the other thing is to allow today we are much more capable with AI and we do a lot of things faster. The leaders, we as leaders, we need to take time to understand how all this translates for our people, be people centered, and reflect on all this speed and what happens in order to really help our people do the best with
mm.
themselves and with the tools that they have today at their available.
Yana, as you're talking through it, all the things around getting people ready and having the right governance, decentralizing decision, I think the more I look at it, it's really helping build the confidence and the confidence in them. So, how do you spot confidence and how do you build confidence for your own self? Because when you decentralize the decision making, the confidence can shake because now you're dependent on people, right? So, how do you manage your own confidence at scale?
It's as you say, it's tricky, especially at the beginning, Saitra, because you really, when you rely on people's decision making, you really need to have established the trust.
Mhm.
So to feel that your people are quite developed and they can decide by their own, but also they have the judgment to, for example, ask for help if
Yes.
something is going wrong. Also, time is of an essence in those situations. I can ask you for your help, but maybe it's already too late. So to have the judgment, and this is part of the leadership responsibility to understand the level of your team and see the development areas or adapt your management style. Because, for example, you wouldn't go on on a team that is very junior with complete delegation and decentralized decision making. But for me, it's setting also on top of the values and the trust, clarity on the vision, clarity on the metrics that we will be monitoring, alignment, and then it's a normal follow up and stepping in if there is need for help. But you need to do all that and assess the level of your team in order to make it work well. If you are not having the right level, you need to develop, to spend time to develop. You cannot immediately delegate everything.
Absolutely. Yana, you talked about the leadership style. I want to ask you a very fun question because it prompted in my mind. If your leadership style were a movie or a character, what would it be and why?
Okay, actually, I should have asked Copilot. The first thing that comes into my mind, I would be Catwoman, and let
Yeah.
me tell you why. I am quite and resilient. Maybe it's also the industry because you really need to be a good listener, listen to different opinions, think. So I'm agile on how I can navigate or even change my opinion. Agile also on adapting on all these external factors that influence us that you cannot control. There are a lot of things that new models coming up, a lot of different stuff that come at scale and at times that you cannot predict. So this is agility, resilient. I think cats, they say they have 7 lives. I'm resilient. I'm quite proud of this. I have seen that I'm able to stand up and help also others if needed in a different situation, difficult situation or unexpected situation. And also, I'm very curious. I like to learn, and that's why this cat woman character comes into my mind.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Before we take something forward, I want to pause for a moment because we talked about your origin, the love for tech, the movement you're creating, the system, and the legacy. Is there a question I should have asked you, but I did not?
Maybe one question that you didn't ask me is what gives me confidence that we can build a more inclusive future at scale in the future?
Go ahead, answer that question for me.
It's something that I keep thinking, actually, Saidra. That's why, listen, I think, of course, it's a challenging world, and still there are a lot of things to be done about inclusion. But I am happy to see that there is progress. I'm happy to see that there are more role models. When I was young, believe it or not, my role model was Amalia Fleming. Why? Because I didn't have any other female role model in science. So I couldn't find anything in STEM. So I was admiring Maria Fleming. But at least now my daughter and the girls today, they have many more role models. So they have many more evidence that they can do what they dream. So this is something that I see progress. Of course, there are a lot of changes to be done still, but we are gradually seeing getting there. And then the other thing that gives me optimism is what we can do if we use AI responsibly. I believe that AI can change a lot our lives and the way and how inclusion will evolve because it democratizes access to skilling, okay, it's access to opportunity because if you learn the basic you can start evolve, put your ideas into practice. So it can if we also feed it and train it correctly, it can be much more transparent on the decision making and also to on having giving fair chance because sometimes we can even have unconscious bias that we cannot realize and maybe it can highlight it on a decision making. So this is what gives me confidence. Of course, it's not an ideal world. There are also risks in all that, but it's up to us also how we decide to lead and drive with the technology we have at hand and with the progress we have made until now and make it work for good.
Oh, I love how you're thinking about building confidence and how we need to think about the future. And with that one, Yana, do you have ideas for or practical ideas for leaders to prepare for this rapid change that is coming? Because I believe we are entering a Star Trek age. And how do we need to prepare ourselves so we are still anchored with confidence?
I think one very important thing for us is to provide first of all, to tell to the teams that nobody knows everything. And of course, we leaders can do also mistakes in such a fast changing world. The second is as we are introducing AI tools into our enterprises, to do it with transparency and clarity. And what I mean by that, how those tools are going to be used. what is the purpose? Is it to replace humans or to work together? What we try to achieve? How we ensure that our people are skilled in order to be able to use those tools and not to be afraid of the changes that are happening. How we convey a message that for me empathy is more important than ever right now. So the profile of the leaders is different right now of the leaders that are required, because there are two ways of introducing this huge change into an enterprise. One is people centered and the other is metric centered. I
Mhm.
truly believe the one that is only metric centered will lose, because people will disengage, will be just be afraid. So either they will react or
Mhm.
leave the company because they. But if you do it empowering the people, upskilling the people, and make it in a human centered, explaining how those tools are used, why they are used, that what are the values behind that is a responsible AI approach, that there is a governance, how the data are used, then for me, those are the enterprise and the leaders at the end that will be the successful ones.
I love the responses, and I think the viewers, when they listen, I think they'll take some really good practical ideas to implement. And you're on the Iconic Leadership podcast, Yanna. What does fill in the blanks for me? What does iconic leadership means for you? So iconic leadership means dot.
Um, to inspire others to be the best version of themselves.
Love it, love it. I have some few rapid fire question because the audience loves it when it is pretty cool. So do you call yourself as an AI optimist or cautious realist?
I want to be on the optimist side, but I'm aware of the risks and the many challenges we have to face as humanity. And we need to cope for that. But it's different. We need to try and drive things where we want and we believe is the right way to do things and mitigate the risks as we move on. It's better always to act than wait and see. I tell you, I'm a windsurfer. You set the direction you go. If you just stay like this, the sea will take you somewhere else.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is one AI tool you cannot live without?
Now I cannot live without Copilot that has also co-work in there. If you take it out from me, I cannot imagine my day without it.
Oh, wow, that is so cool. What is one book everyone should read?
For me, okay, I like reading a lot of books. I like a lot and I return, and I also gave it to my children. It's not a very inspiring book, but I think it's very practical in terms of the framework it sets and the explanation it gives. It's Atomic Habits. I don't know if you have read it,
Oh,
Atomic
I
Habits.
love it.
I love it as well. It's
Yeah.
very
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
It's not that you realize that some of those things you might have already done by yourself, but it gives the logic and the framework, and it's really helpful to do small steps that really drive you to happiness at the end if you manage to master it.
One of my health changes I made was using the Atomic Habits framework.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
just changing
Yeah.
the situation and environment, and really were able to do it without feeling the overwhelmingness, and also defining the identity of the person who I am. And I love James Clear's philosophy behind. So I think we both can spend a lot of time talking about which habit are you changing. So that's pretty cool. What's your favorite travel destination so far? Because I know you're close to Greece and you travel to Malta and Turkey, but what's your favorite travel destination so far?
Okay, this is not. I love the Greek islands. I keep going there. I travel a lot during winter to other countries, US. I love St. Mauritius, I have been. But during summer, I cannot leave Greece. I'm always on the Aegean Sea, Cyclades, very nice wind, very nice sea. It's whenever I left during summer, honestly, I needed a little bit more summer vacations to go back on this. So my decision was summer in the islands and winter the traveling to the rest of the world.
Amazing, Yana. I want to come back again to Greece and spend
You have
time
to.
because the last time I only was there for a couple of days. So, again, Yana, thank you for sharing your stories and your framework and the real work behind what you do. And before we close, where can our listeners connect with you or support your work?
LinkedIn is a good way. I'm always online replying as well. And usually via LinkedIn, we also promote our initiatives. So it's the one place to go, and you can see also info about past initiatives, things that are coming, and even reach out just to exchange some views if needed.
Again, Yana, thank you for being iconic, and you're being absolutely stellar in the impact that you're making. And for every listeners who are listening, if this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe to the Iconic Leadership Podcast. You can also explore the Iconic Leadership Assessment, watch the movie Icons, and also join the most awaited waitlist for our upcoming Iconic Leadership book, which launches in September. And if this episode added value, can you do me a favor? Take a screenshot of me and Yana and share it and tag us. This is how we know that this particular episode resonated with you and we can create more conversation. And if there's someone in your life who could benefit from hearing what Yana shared, someone who's at a turning point or building a business or needs to hear this message, this is probably the episode you want to send it to them. And one last thing before you go, as a thank you for listening, I have a special gift. The first 10 listeners will be entered into a prize drawing to receive a free copy of the Iconic Leadership book during the launch week. I'm Chaitra Vedalapalli. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, when we lead with purpose, we unlock prosperity for everyone. Thank you, Yana.
Thank you very much, Chaitra.